It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai. And we also have a special guest today, and it is Nicki!
Hi! Thank you so much for having me again on the show. I've been, avidly listening, and now I feel very excited to be back.
Oh, I'm so excited. And some of you who might follow Astrology Roast's Instagram account, which is manned, so wonderfully by Itai, would know that Nicki is not just Nicki, she's also Vicky Ruffle, who ruffles everyone's feathers in the comment section by writing sassy comments in all capitals.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'd expected to go down in such a blaze of infamous glory for flirting is not cheating, but I'm still being added by one of your, many hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yes.
I said flirting is not cheating truly weeks ago. Blessings to all of you who are still engaged with that comment. But I'm still being added. I get notifications and I'm like, who's engaging with me? And then it's like,
it's an Astrology Roast follower.
Yeah, someone really letting me know that, no, in fact, flirting is cheating.
But in your defense, you're a Libra. And you commented on a post. If you want to find it, it's on a post where it's Brittany.
Don't invite this. Why are you doing this?
Well, I'm going to delete it by then. No, I won't. But it's the post where Brittany is sitting preparing for her own wedding. And she's wearing like a white tracksuit and all of her bridesmaids are wearing pink Juicy Couture tracksuit, which we mentioned on this podcast
Classic.
quite a lot.
Timeless.
Timeless look. Still waiting for my Mr. Right so I can recreate the scene. And Nicki, you commented flirting is not cheating in response to the meme that also says flirting is not cheating, but everyone came for you.
Yeah, it was, I didn't think it was a controversial thing to say. I mean, it was in the meme, but yeah, people it's really made me wonder a lot about my own behavior in relationships. And anyway, look, blessings to all of you who have managed to date me and survive.
Which also brings us to how you originally came on the podcast. So Nicki is also an episode, I don't remember the number, but X's and O's, one of my personal favorites, in which we all discuss how we have been crazy exes and the crazy exes that we have had.
And I was really crazy when we recorded that episode. And I think my sister is an avid listener. Shout outs, Elise. She's a Capricorn.
Hi.
She's listened to every single episode. Because
Of course
she's a Capricorn.
she has.
She's very thorough. But she listened to that episode and said, I feel like you really misrepresented yourself. And I have to say, most of it was made up. I just really wanted to give you guys some good stories. To be fair, I've never really been dumped. I don't know. I've dumped myself, probably.
It fits the Libra narrative about creating personalities for the occasion.
Yeah, I wanted to please, and I don't know, I feel like I may have gone too far, and that's okay. This is okay.
You did a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I really lent into the stereotype too. I remember listening back, and there's a point where you asked me to reflect on what I've learned, or
Yeah, I'm
how
sorry,
I've
that was
grown,
my fault.
Which was it's beautiful, but I was clearly shut the door on that. I was just no intimacy. Let's talk about my hair some more, and I feel like.
And your hair's looking amazing. By the way, you've had it recently blonde, and it's beautiful.
As always.
For the listeners, I am, a woman of colour, but platinum blonde. So just important to let the listeners know, bring in some flavour. Anyway.
Well, Nicki, you're obviously a woman of many talents. Just
List 3, but okay. Thank you.
Looking beautiful, being funny.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Doing the dishes, dressing well.
I never do the dishes, and now we have a dishwasher, and I will never do another dish again in my life. Anyway.
What a dream. But we brought you here today because we are going to discuss a topic that you're an expert on. The Bible.
Anyone who knows me knows that I am probably, a holy woman. So,
Yes.
no, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I certainly spent a lot of time with it when I was younger and was sort of brought up in the Catholic faith by my mother. And I would say it wasn't that, I didn't feel a deep affinity with it, despite being, going through the sacraments, being baptized, going to confession, first Eucharist, being confirmed, going to a Catholic primary school. When you say it all together like that, actually, it is. But I was very skeptical about the church's teachings because I could see how misogynist and old-fashioned it was. I was raised by the TV, I think similar to you. I embraced feminism in primary school and was just like, I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and that's where I get all of my morals from. So as long as I've got will, I don't need you, Jesus. But in my sort of later teen years, when I had a more restrictive parenting situation and wasn't allowed to go out to anything that wasn't church or youth group, I eventually became really sucked into that sort of more hands in the air evangelical style of Christianity that is infinitely more scary but features way poppier songs. But the church also, interestingly, people always think of it, the particular, I don't know why I'm not naming the branch of Christianity as if it was the Uniting Church. People always think of it as being really
You just lost 50,000 followers.
I'm going to get added by the Uniting Church. No,
Flirting is cheating.
Oh my God.
Saboteur.
Oh my God. The Uniting Church. Well, my mum was actually very one Holy Roman Apostolic Church, and she really believed that going to the Uniting Church was cheating on Jesus and that I was going to go to hell and that it was essentially a cult. But it was not actually that welcoming and progressive relative to the Catholic Church. Actually, they performed 4 real exorcisms.
Whoa.
They, at the time, I think there was a vote around whether women or gays, I can't remember now, which ones could be potentially ordained and become ministers, and our church voted no. It was absolutely not. There's no such thing as evolution. It was a very sort of regressive,
But during those years, you read the Bible.
Oh yeah, I went to Bible study every Friday and every Sunday. And then when I went to Germany on exchange, I took my Bible and my daily bread, which was my daily prayers, and I would wake up every morning before I had to go to school, and I would do my prayers alone. And the mother that I stayed with, because they were deep, coincidentally, in the Quelle or whatever they called it, their church there, she was like, well, maybe Christ is taking you on a path that says that you will come to the seminary essentially here, and we will raise funds through our church and you will become a minister here and study.
Did that happen?
I don't know. Well, I was sort of at an age where I had to decide what to do. That sort of coming to the end of your high schooling years, and I didn't really have a clear path the way that some people did.
This is the ultimate sliding doors situation.
Yeah.
You're in Germany on exchange, reading Bible stories in the morning, and then someone tells you in a German accent, this might be your path to holiness. I would just say yes.
If that's not something to
Goosebumps.
Yeah, no, that's, I think, the start of a horror movie. But, it was a sliding doors moment.
Karen, what is your relationship with the Bible and maybe a sliding door moment that led you to being the woman that you are today?
Oh my God, what a question. Well, I wasn't part of the evangelical church. I was part of just the Jewish regular synagogue church. And our family was always a bit more religious than everyone else. So we were the weirdos who were go to parties, as we were kids, and everyone was eating hot dogs, and I was kosher, and I was really passionate about being kosher. But because I'm also a very cognitive, cerebral Gemini, I used to, before going to bed, I used to pray to Muhammad, Jesus, and the Jewish God, just in case. And I thought they were all playing with me. I thought Jesus was tempting me to the faith, and we had these really Christian next door neighbors who was just dumb as fuck. And
classic. It's a real type.
Santa Claus gave us this for Christmas. I'm like, really? He didn't. But then I realized, well, who's happier? The ones getting stuff from Santa Claus on Christmas, or us with probably a Jewish festival every week or 12 days, which was stressful and restrictive.
And all the fasting.
But it's a beautiful religion. But yeah, I was very God-fearing, and I thought Judaism was the way, and I was passionate about it, and then it was conflated with the love of Israel, which we were taught about in school from a very young age, and the Holocaust, which we learnt about on the regular. So it was all mushed together into form a very strong Jewish identity.
The part that is the most unusual or interesting to me is the idea of you as a small child and passionate about being kosher.
I don't know about small.
Well,
I
okay.
wouldn't say small.
All right.
We were a bit chunky, but like, yeah, not passionate. It was the thing that like separated me, and I was always the weirdo because of it, amongst other things. But I just was like, this is the thing that I can't transgress. Like, I have to keep to this, and I would keep it, and no one else was doing it.
So keeping kosher is basically the laws of food in Judaism. So it's you can't eat bacon or any pig product. You can't eat milk and meat together. You can't eat seafood. So this is kosher for the people that are now trying to understand what that word is. My relationship with the Bible is more similar to Nicki's. I grew up in like an Orthodox, religious, Jewish family. So growing up, like, you know, God was one of like the reasons. For example, if teachers wanted us to do something, it was like God. You know, if you need a reason for your request, God said it. And I remember, and also keeping all the laws, like on Saturday, we couldn't be using our phones or turning on and off the lights, like all of the laws, like the legit laws. And similar to you, Nicki, I feel like I was very much like rebelling against it since day one. Like I remember being literally 6 years old and telling my parents, when I grow up, I know what you're all thinking, quoting the Pussycat Dolls song, when I grow up, I want to be famous, I want to be a star, I want to be in movies. No, that came later, but when I grow up, I'm not going to be religious. And like, I remember like 6-year-old kid, like saying, I'm not going to do that. This is dumb. And I remember they were picking like every Friday, they would pick the mother and the father of Shabbat, the mother and the father of Saturday.
Oh, that was the best. We did that at school as well.
And everyone wanted to be that because you get to like get and give the bread to everyone, like the challah, the sweet bread. And you get to be like the special kid. And I remember like not wanting to be that and thinking like, that's dumb. And like, you know, where are gay couples? Where are lesbian couples?
For real.
Where are like single parents? Like, why is it mom and dad? Like, literally as a kid, I don't think I even knew I was gay, but I felt like something. Nah, who am I kidding? I knew I was gay, but like, yeah. So, but we had to learn the Bible. Like, I studied the Bible until 2 p.m. and then I started to study all the other subjects, and that's why I don't know math, geography, history. Like, not good at those.
Full disclosure, everyone's like, you're going to need this later in life.
Yeah, when did we need it?
I don't want to be like, the smartphone in my hand has literally every piece of information that has ever existed in time and history. Like, I don't need to know basic geometry or history.
What is it even? I don't know.
Anyway, whatever.
But we gathered here today to talk about the Bible, the original book, the book of books. I know when people say Bible, like, what do you think of the Old Testament or the New Testament? Like, what
I just think of like bearded, hot men.
Whoa.
It's like God.
Yeah,
What?
I'm particularly into the story of like Cain and Abel.
Ooh.
Wait,
Is
they're
that
the
the one
two
with the
brothers where
soup?
one...
Yeah.
He gave away his birthright for soup, but one of them's meant to be this like ruddy, strong, gingy kind of...
Gingy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cain.
Weren't they the ones where one brother murders the other brother?
Oh no, you're right. What are the brothers?
Wait, Cain and
twins.
Abel. Cain and Abel. Selling the eldest son was Jacob. Jacob and Esav.
Yes, that's the one. That's the
But
one.
Cain and Abel is the first murder documented
the brother,
in history.
the jealous brother.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like already I can tell that we maybe between us know a bit about the Bible, and I don't know how we chose. Like, let's choose a topic that we all know a lot about. I think we all have a lot of like trauma and like closeted experiences thanks to being brought up in like dogmatic religion.
Yes.
But between us, this is really going to expose whether we know anything about the Bible at all.
Well, let's try.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Let's go.
So, the Old Testament versus the New. And a lot of you might think, wait, what the fuck? This is an astrology podcast. But
Yes.
my justification for that is that first, we're going to guess every character's star sign that we mention.
They were characters too.
Sorry, they're real people based on their personalities and the birthdays that we received from God.
So, yeah, link back. Shout outs astrology.
Yes. And also, at the end of the day, what is astrology if not a framework for us to understand our lives And what is the Bible if not a framework for us to understand our life? You know, my dad used to say when I was like, I'm not religious or I'm gay, he used to quote the Bible to tell me like that I'm a rebel son. And then like the rest of the sentence is like a rebel son should be killed and murdered and stoned by the community.
Fun.
He didn't really go all the way with the sentence, but he did start it a lot of times. So I would be like completing it in my own head.
And then you came back to him with your framework saying, well, you're just an Aquarius daddy.
Exactly.
Whom I've dated many similar like you, and I know that you're just going to leave anyway.
Exactly. So
I fully agree with you, though. I feel like that framework to understand, I feel like that's why increasingly so many more, especially young people, are really like being drawn to astrology, and it's having this like renaissance, because I feel like a generation or two before us, people were brought up with religion and people didn't question it, and it was how they understood the world and their place, and it's what gave them their like guiding ethical framework. And yeah, people don't have it, and I think people still want that like spirituality. So, and plus astrology is super fun, and flirting is not cheating. So, no big deal.
You will never retract that comment.
oh my God.
I stand by it
cheating.
to the day I die.
So, Nicki, in Christianity, like, who are the heroes? Like, you have Jesus, obviously.
I mean, I feel like
He's such a good guy.
yes, he is a good guy, but then there are sort of like there's Jesus's BFF, Peter, who actually denies him 3 times before the cock crows when Jesus, lol, I mean, sus, but yeah, but when Jesus is arrested and they were BFFs, and he's really his number one, and I think is the first pope of the Catholic Church also.
So we said we're going to mention star signs. Jesus, in my opinion, was definitely an Aquarius. I already went on a rant about it on our Christmas episode.
I don't feel that, but I think it's just because I associate Aquarius with a lot of negative stereotypes thanks to listening to this podcast.
But Jesus can't be a negative person, God forbid. So he couldn't be. And Peter denied him 3 times.
Yes, but he was a BF. They were BFFs. They were like such a love story between those two, and Jesus tells him the prophecy that he'll do that, and he's like, Jesus, literally look me in the eyes, I would never. And then when it happens, and he doesn't realize he's doing it until the cock crows, and then he's like, shit, it happened, and then he's filled with regret. Which
So not a Capricorn, a Virgo. Someone who's filled with regret.
Someone who's capable of feeling emotions. At least. No, kidding.
And who are the saints?
So the saints are basically, not to be like literally anyone can be a saint. Some of them were like some of the disciples or the first people in the Christian or Catholic Church who were martyred for their beliefs. So there's like Saint Sebastian, I think, is that famous image with all the like arrows through him. And then there's like...
Sag.
Yeah. Then there are some that like they were also crucified, but they were like, I don't want to be crucified any old way. No, the Jesus way. So they were like crucified.
I just think of Madonna when you're making an imitation of crucifixion, and I just think of Madonna was the saint that was never.
Well, Madonna is the Virgin Mary, like Jesus' mum. But the saints can be literally anyone. They just need to have done like a certain number of miracles, and some of those miracles can literally just be parts of their bodies not breaking down after death. And the saint that I took my name after when I did my confirmation, age 12, you're meant to choose a saint that means someone to you. I was really going through a phase not a phase. It was a real dedication to the Spice Girls. Victoria, like Posh, was always my number one, but towards the end of their life, when Jerry had left, I flipped and changed a bit, and Baby Spice was my number one fave right when I had to pick a saint. And so I just picked the name Emma and hoped there would be a saint. And because there's like thousands of saints, of course there was, and she, I think, was a saint because, and I'm going really off the top of my head, I think it was like her father had tried to rape her. Trigger warning, too late. Anyway, and she sorry, and she was like, no, not having a bar of it, and ran away to like the hills or something. And then when she died, a like hermit virgin, her hand didn't break down, and the people in her village, like small village in Italy, I think it was, were like, she's a saint.
They really wanted a saint to come out of that village.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Well, I mean, Australia, when we mounted our campaign to get Mary MacKillop to become canonized, that was like a whole thing, because you have to meet like a certain number of miracles. And so there was like one woman that she had appeared to and cured her cancer. But like, you can't just appear to one person and cure one person's cancer. Yeah. And there's like literally in the Catholic Church, I'm pretty sure there's like a whole like, I don't know what you call them, branch of the church that is invested in going out and investigating these claims and seeing whether there's any evidence and whether they're real and valid, and mounting those cases so that then you can like put the rubber stamp on.
Let them be a saint. Let them be a saint, so maybe one day someone can find a saint that fits their favorite pop star of the time. Like you chose Emma, and now you are blonde.
What took you so long?
What took me all night? Well, aren't we all saints? Okay. Sorry.
We all a little bit of a baby spice?
Yeah.
I know I am. Anyway, Abraham.
Okay, classic segue.
Abraham, I would like to discuss, because the story of Abraham is basically the first, kind of like the first Jew, because he was living in a nation of I don't know what their religion was, there was no religions according to the Old Testament, but he heard a voice. He heard a voice that said, Abraham, go from your land, go from your home, and
I
find
hear that voice
God.
often.
Yeah, so we can say
Just run, and don't look back.
Leave work.
You can say, hearing voices, Gemini, right? But Abraham actually heard a real voice. He heard God's voice. And God told him to go and find his like...
Way to minimize my voices.
I'm sorry. Maybe you are hearing God after all these years.
Well, I'm definitely having a constant conversation with someone up there, so...
Yeah, so I'm saying maybe Abraham was a Pisces. And also I have another thing that maybe is a Pisces move. Mm-hmm. God told him to kill his own son. And he was like, God said it. Then I should do it.
I mean, yeah, this brings up the like classic Old Testament God, you know, like Old Testament God, straight up kind of, you know, a bastard. I'm just going to put it out there.
I thought you were going to say a Leo.
Oh, whoa. Well, I mean, I pretty much did. No, I'm kidding. Love
Why?
you, Leos.
But I like it. I like the revenge. I like the blood being put on people's doors, and the concept of the firstborn, and all of the old school misogyny. Like, it's it's like a Goldie Hawn film from like the 90s.
Oh, Overboard. I loved that. All the
feminism.
bathing suits that she wears at the start when she's really rich. Anyway, no, I agree with you. I feel like the old school misogyny of the Old Testament is so much more fun than the new school misogyny of the New Testament, which is really just a bummer. Yeah, no, it's definitely more Game of Thrones. There's just a lot more excitement. There's a lot more just bloodshed and fun.
And like people are cheating on each other.
People are flirting with each other.
Oh, God, which is just pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're flirting with someone, you may as well be like murdering them with your braids while they sleep or whatever.
Who is your favourite flirt from the Bible?
Well,
old or new?
Who's the... well, she wasn't really a flirt. She was just trying to have a shower on the top of her own building in peace. But, you know, King David, I mean, the one thing... is that much... Okay, I can't remember her name. But he was, you know, such a good king, except for that one. That was a really terrible incident, I feel.
Yeah, so what happened? She was taking a bath on her balcony, which is like a penthouse at the end of... Like, she was...
She thought she was like private.
Lush life.
Yeah.
Taurus.
She was a Libra.
I think she was a Taurus because she was like, I don't know, like
the pleasures, the sensory pleasures.
Yeah.
And they're both ruled by Venus.
And then David is, the King David was, he got her guards to bring her to him, and he had sex with her. And she got pregnant. Now... I'm going to go deep because this story is even more fucked up
as
than
deep as David did. Sorry, all right. Okay.
Maybe even deeper. So in the Bible, we usually read a story and we're like, oh, he just had sex with her and then she left, and then he sent her husband to the war, to fight, to the front line, and he said to his commander, make sure that this guy Uriah is being killed. Make sure you send him first, which is full-on Game of Thrones move.
Wow.
It is.
But what happens there, before he did that, David tried to get away with it because he's like, I think he's a Leo, obviously red hair, went like into Goliath thing and just like threw a stone and got it right on the first hit. Like that's such a Leo move. Like, I'm just gonna rock up with one stone and kill him. Also, I'm pretty sure I already said that in the podcast. If I did, I'm sorry. Then David was like, I'm gonna get out of this thing without killing the guy. I'm gonna solve it. So he brought Uriah back and he told him to get drunk and sleep at his wife's house because he wanted to get him drunk to have sex with his wife, and then he will think that his little redhead kid, is his. He wanted to trick him.
Wow.
But Uriah, the Virgo, was so dedicated to his stupid job that he was like, no, David, I'm going to sleep here in the lounge. I'm not going to go home. I'm going to sleep here.
And meanwhile, is she still in the bath?
She's
She's just like the longest bath in history, yeah.
She's just like having bath after bath. And then there was a second night and David was like, okay, I'm going to do a feast. Did another feast. Drinks, got him drunk, was like, oh yeah, go home, go have sex with your wife.
Go to your woman.
She's already like wrinkly in the bath. Like
she's ready. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And Uriah said, no, I'm going to sleep here again. Like, I'm not going to go. I'm going to be with my soldiers. And then David just sent him to war to kill him. And the criticism about David is also that he wasn't in the front line with his people. He was just sending them to die and having sex with their wives.
But this is what I mean. Like, this is the classic Old Testament realness. Like, there's a lot of, like, getting your dad drunk to repopulate and, like, murdering your brother and, like, you know, going to war and, like, marrying someone just so that you can kill them in the night and lots of exciting stuff like that. Whereas, literally, other than the wedding at Cana, like, in the New Testament where Jesus is famous, you know, there's not enough wine. Wait a minute. Now there is. You know, that's the only, like, I'm trying to think of another, like, fun party vibe. And I just, like, can't come up with
it's a
anything.
buzzkill.
It's true.
Nothing.
We haven't even mentioned David's, like, gay bromance with Jonathan, like, the original gay guy. And you can read about...
OG gay guys.
I was, like, reading
I'm like,
that...
the ancient Greeks are really going to be brilliant. All those ancient Greeks are listening to this podcast.
Happy Greek Easter to everyone.
Yeah.
According to Judaism, the world was created 5,000 years ago in the Bible, with the creation story that happened 5,000 years ago. So Greeks, I don't know her. Sorry.
Wow.
Dinosaurs, don't know her.
So a lot of Christians also believe this, and I had a friend whose mother was really, really religious like that, and I remember going to their house and on their, like, children's bookcase was a book designed for children and looked like a fun, just regular book about dinosaurs, but it was about how dinosaurs and the evidence for them is just, like, baseless. And it was about how, you know, a lot of that sort of, like, creationist, you know, the earth is only 5,000 years old or whatever stuff, they say that all the mythology about dragons is because dinosaurs and humans walked the earth at the same time, and that the carbon dating technology is just inherently whack. And anyway, it's very interesting to me the way that you can, like, work things to fit in your, like
astrology.
Yeah, like the way that you're working so hard to make Jesus an Aquarius, when like I'm just like, what Aquarius is a carpenter? But okay, that's fine.
That's true. He is a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Handsome.
Based on what? I remember when I was at church.
Pictures.
No.
There's
Hollywood Jesus. No.
It's true, but if you Google like real photo of Jesus, there's like other pictures of him, and he looks really, really hot, like a Middle Eastern guy, which was also discussed on this podcast before. You know what wasn't discussed? David and Jonathan gay scene. So we Game of Thrones talk. All the gay sex there is pretty hot. And in the Bible as well, I remember reading when we would study it, every time it got to that point of like David and Jonathan. And I don't remember who says that to who, but I think David says that to Jonathan in the field when Jonathan leaves him. He tells him, your love to me was more pleasant than a woman's love. And he is fully like, it's really, really sad. It's like a breakup.
I can hear like the swelling of the music from Brokeback Mountain.
And
you know what I mean?
Don't you just wish that we will arrive at a point in history where all of the secret gay romances that are squished and talked about in hushed tones will be fully let out and spoken about and reclaimed? Because there's so many beautiful like love stories in the history of every religion. Like Rumi and Mevlana and like, you know, the Shams of Tabriz, like all these beautiful poetry that's written about the love between men.
But this is the thing. It's always going to be about the love between men.
It is, I know, and it's hot to me. But
okay,
yeah.
that's a separate episode. Like, we can really get into that.
It was a very hot scene for me, David and Jonathan.
I've never heard of it.
I don't know. I feel like my only memory of any sort of like same-sex love in the Bible was that I think that the first Bible study I went to in that super evangelical type church happened to be the reading where they talk about the sins of homosexuality, and which was really confronting to me because I was very like lefty liberal teenager who's like, whatever, I don't know, gay rights. And yeah, I remember reading the passage and they were like, I think the line is something like, even their women did it an unnatural way, or I can't remember and they were like, what does that mean? And I remember just no one said anything, and I remember being like, it means taking it up the butt. And they I just remember like the youth leader being like, no, that's not what it means. It means that they were lesbians, and just being like, I just couldn't even comprehend like, but even when I was really deeply religious and trying really hard to like live that life, I would come out with things like that whenever they'd be like, what does this mean? I would always offer what I like very sincerely thought was the reading, and I'd always be told, absolutely not. Like, you are so bad at this.
I wish I could go back to like grade 5 when they were like, David said to Jonathan, your love for me was better than like a woman's love. And then me like putting my hand up and says like, it means taking it up the butt. It feels so good.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think people would get concerned if you were like, anyway, all right.
They got concerned for other things. So Karen, you mentioned how if they were talking about gay people, it would still be male characters, and it's like a theme within the Bible, women in the Bible and like the roles that they take. We already mentioned Michal.
The whores and the virgin.
The whores and the virgins.
Yes. And I have been doing a little bit of research on that very topic of female invisibility in the Bible, and there is a lot of it, let me tell you. But there is a nice segue to an astrological practice or something that you can explore at home. So in astrology, as well as in the Bible, there is a character known as Lilith. So some people know her as like a slutty devil.
Shout out Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Shout out to Sabrina. Apparently it's an amazing series. I haven't seen it. Yeah. But actually, Nicki, you know a bit about Lilith and what she's all about biblically, and then I can talk a little bit about astrologically.
Well, because when you were talking to me about Lilith recently, I was like, that's crazy. I've just been thinking about Lilith and looking her up because, again,
she's having a moment.
Yeah, she's having a real moment. But all this talk about Lilith, I like looked it up, and it was really surprising to me to learn that Lilith isn't actually in the Bible, that she's like part of the mythology around the Bible. But basically, it was really interesting though, because I feel like the idea of her feels so like deep-seated, like without even knowing explicitly or reading any like books or texts that contain her. You know who Lilith is, and you know what she represents,
she
and
walks
you know
amongst us.
why she's so threatening to like everything, but why she's constantly, her or some version of her is always created by men in power, like because they both like want it and need to disown it. And so they need to create this woman who isn't in any of their official like texts, like she's not canon, but they still have to create this woman who, so unlike Eve, who's the traditionally understood bride of Adam and made from his rib, she was made of the same clay as Adam, and so she's meant to be his equal, and she was his first wife. But then I think that like I don't know, I think that she was too uppity for him or something, and like maybe a little too sexy. I think she maybe like refused to submit to him in marriage.
She refused to lay under him because they were made from the same clay.
There we go.
Adam got pissed off.
I mean,
and
what position
Lilith
would be...
also got pissed off, and she was like, I'm out of here.
But if neither of you can be on top because you're equals, like, I'm just like, what position works? But anyway, that's a separate kind of... But yeah, then apparently she like had sex with an archangel and he was like, I will not forgive this. And so she was cast out of paradise and like couldn't come back. And then...
Fuck paradise. Paradise sucks. You just like walk around naked, which is like awkward. Like, give me something to cover myself up. And also...
It sounds like Confess.
Like, obviously, the second you put 2 trees there and tell me like not to eat from them, like that's the only 2 trees I want to eat from. There were 2 trees, by the way. The knowledge one and the shame one or something.
Oh, they ate from both? Wow, I always think of it as being so instantaneous. You know, you take one bite and you're like, I'm naked! Anyway.
All that shame that we didn't need to walk this earth with because of the actions of a few who shall remain nameless. But really interesting that you've mentioned how Lilith, she's not actually written into the Bible, but she exists amongst us and in our subconscious, because the word Lilith in so many practices and faiths means, you know, like the female demon and the night demon. So she's got this whole dark, sensual, sexual power, and I get a bit excited when talking about it. But in astrology, you can actually look at your particular natal chart and find out where what's known as your black moon Lilith. And so it's not actually a planet that's in your natal chart, it's a point. And it is the point where the moon is dark. So everyone has a black moon Lilith in your chart, and it will fall within a particular star sign. And which star sign that is for you will reveal your shadow, sexual, crazy, dark self, which is squished by, you know, call it patriarchy, call it the Bible, call it Goldie Hawn movies, whatever you want.
They're liberating to me, but okay.
Or whatever, you know, whatever squishes you. But yeah, so worth looking it up. I was very, very disappointed, but also not surprised to find that my Lilith is in the sexless, nun-like maiden star sign of Virgo. So apparently my shadow self can be quite self-righteous. I should own like a nun costume if I'm going to get, you know,
sexy.
Do you know what they do say about Virgos? That they're like
kinky.
They're kinky AF once you pass the nun outfit. Basically.
Exactly. And according to Lilith in Virgo, it's like this whole, am I the whore one day and am I the maiden one day? So those switching between those 2 extremes of, you know, the dark sensual self. But I was very fascinated. I think both of your Lilith points were very, very accurate.
Yeah, so my Lilith is in Gemini, which I can't remember what that said, like that you're... It said, I remember reading a lot
of
that
acid tongue.
Dirty talk. I don't know about this. Ooh. You know, I mean, look, I just want to say, like, I'm very closed off sexually. So, I mean, you know.
Well, Geminis,
Aren't
story rings true.
Aren't we all? But mine is in Leo. And I was walking for 30 years being the proudest that I got no Leo-like significant placements. And, like, obviously you have placements of everything on your houses and everything, but I was like, I got no planets there. I got nothing important there. And then I realized my Lilith is in Leo. So it means that, like, it's all about ego and, you know...
So you're the one squishing your own Leoness. You're the one who's like, I have no Leo. I'm so pleased to have no Leo. Yeah. You're squishing.
Well, I'm also Aquarius rising, so I'm, like, pretentious, and I'm like, I don't have any Leos. Like, I'm unique.
I mean, this is the thing with all this astrology stuff. I mean, I'm very confused by, like, everything's like, you've got a Venus in this, you've got a rising that, you've got a Lilith in whatever. I'm like, if all this bloody, like, all of this secret hidden stuff, why are we even bothering asking people what their sun signs are? Like, I don't understand what any of it is. There's too many, like, dark hidden sides. I don't have that many facets to my personality. Like, I want to pretend I'm interesting enough to have, like, all these secret fetish things hidden away, but I definitely don't. Like,
well,
you definitely do.
All right.
You have a very positive relationship with the feminist sex shop near your old house. You're on a first name basis.
If I locked myself out of the house, they would help me. Yeah. And yes, they did offer to, like, pay for an Uber for me to get somewhere. And yes, they were all really lovely women.
The feminist sex shop, pleasure shop. What are they called?
The passion fruit.
Yeah.
Passion fruit, yeah.
Anyway, I used to live around the corner from it, and they were really lovely. So I'd pop in there whenever.
So expensive.
Yeah.
But they're very nice.
So
Sometimes it's just nice to touch things too. Like, you know, online shopping, you just don't get a real sense.
Oh, wasn't that where we went and the person that worked there was like, oh, I was talking to this guy on Tinder and I told him that I'm going to break into his house and murder him in his sleep.
Yes.
And she was like telling it to us if like it's the funniest thing ever, like how she pranks everyone on Tinder, but like stuff that is scary. Like, and it was like both, she would do it like to guys, to girls. Like she would just like say, oh, that one, I just did this. That one, I just did this. I was like, I told him I know where his parents live and I'm just gonna like go
But
there.
in Lilith's defense, she was doing that to shame them for being like misogynistic. So I actually remember she was saying like they would say offensive things, and
so
then she would threaten to come and break into their house. So that is your Lilith again. That is your dark side.
I support her. I conveniently forgot that detail.
And that's the thing. She and every other hot bathing, female in the Bible has been classified as either a whore or a saint that is there to be subservient to men. And yet there are these amazing stories of these cool, powerful women, and they're just suppressed.
Definitely. And even stories of like women that are symbols from the Bible. Like most of us know Lot's wife, the salt, the woman that turned into salt.
Yes. Don't look back. Ugh.
Don't look back. It's like, it's also like, it's such a message like to all girls. Like, don't look back. Like, obey, don't look back, or you're going to turn into a statue of salt.
Yeah.
You're gonna
and they don't age well. Statues of salt.
That's not true. I've visited some in Poland. Anyway, let's keep going.
If you think about it, what happened in there was like God just picked them and said to Lot, like, try to convince everyone in Sodom to stop having sex up the butt and like be
God really has an issue with doing it up the butt. Anyway,
I remember I tweeted once, like maybe like a few years ago, like if like what was it? Oh, why does God hate gays so much if he's gay? So I actually told
oh my gosh,
people came for me. I was like, God is so gay. I was like, God is so gay. That's why he's so obsessed with gays. I think that was my sentence, and everyone came for me in the like retweets and stuff. But I was like, traffic to my account.
You should have followed it up. Yeah, flirting is not cheating.
But Lot's wife. So basically, they were all running around as the Sodom city was burning to ashes, and God was like, "You have to run, and you can't look back." And she was like, "I think it's so like, how can you turn on your community and just not look back?" I feel like she did the only like humane, empathetic thing. Was like, I actually can't just do that. And then she got her punishment, and like all the motherfuckers that just ran and left everyone to burning behind. I was like, okay, starting a new life.
There are so many parables like that though, where like a woman is told, like in the New Testament there's this like famous one where Jesus goes to visit his friends Mary and Martha who live together, and like Martha, oh my gosh, no. Oh wow. Anyway, were they sisters? I can't remember, but they go there and Martha's like straight up like our Lord is coming to visit us here, and she spends the whole time like cooking and cleaning and being like, everything needs to be ready, I need to be making dinner and stuff. And Jesus rocks up, and Mary, who's like a lazy little POS, is like, hey Jesus, what's up? And they just like sit outside, and she just like sits at his feet and like listens to him talking. And then like Martha's getting more and more aggravated inside the house because she's like, seriously, she's not going to help me out? Seriously? Whatever. And eventually she comes out and she says to Jesus like, hey, you know what? Like Mary's being really super lazy, and I really would have appreciated a bit of help like getting dinner ready. Like no big deal, but like she's just sitting around. And he said, no, she's the one who's got the right idea, because you only have to do one thing, Martha, and that's listen to me. One thing.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? She's literally doing not just the emotional labor, the physical labor. Like she's carrying and allowing this to happen. Like that interaction couldn't have happened without her providing for them. And he's like, you have one job, and that job is listen to me.
And I bet you if they both came out and like sat and listened to him in like
He'd
2
be, like,
hours later,
super hungry.
2 hours later, he'll be like, what the fuck, where is my food?
Yeah.
You should have made it earlier. Oh
what a
my
whinger.
God. Okay, but clearly Martha was the one slaving in the house,
Yes,
but then
yes.
she really couldn't hold it and she had to come out and criticize her sister.
Yes.
Virgo.
Or
And
like Martha Stewart.
yeah, well, she's a Leo. And then Mary was the one that was like following rules, but also just being a lazy bum.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't a rule. It was just that she was there for the
subservient.
learning. Yes, but she was sitting at his feet to learn. And then I didn't find out until I looked this up like just before that I always thought that Mary was Mary Magdalene, who is also, she was a prostitute and she was a follower of Jesus, and she's like the famous scene with her where she like washes his feet with her hair and like puts perfumed oils on his feet, which was like a big thing because it's like your feet, everyone was wearing sandals and your feet were just covered in shit when you walked into someone's house, and you'd have to get your servants, like it was the dirtiest part of your body, and like it was really like, you don't touch, like only servants are going to do that job, like it's a low job.
She did that
so
to
she
him.
gets on her hands and knees and she not only like washes his feet, which is like the ultimate sign of like subservience and like care, she does it with her hair, and then like, yeah, do you know what I mean, which is very intimate and crazy. Actually, I'm now, this is like really triggering a memory of like being in a religious education class at school, and our RE teacher, who like really was into just like busting out the acoustic guitar and forcing us to all close our eyes and just listen to her sing, made us like fill baths with like basins with like warm water and drop lavender oil in it, and then like slowly massage each other's hands in the water to like emulate that scene of like giving.
Okay.
It was also an all-girls school.
It's so engaging. Like if this had been school instead. Wow.
This was school. This was my school, like in high school.
And we were watching Schindler's List. Like this is why we are all the people that we are.
What the hell?
Crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, like, I'm making Christianity sound a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'm into this. Like, how do I sign up?
No, I mean, just because you get like the horny pop songs,
Yes.
which was, you know, I did a lot of that. You know, do you remember that song that was actually really popular by like Lifehouse Family or
Yes.
something?
Oh my
Hanging
God.
by a Moment. That
Yes.
song is about Jesus, and it's like about
So good.
yes, but like all of those really horny
Creed.
sort of arms wide open. I don't know. It's not. I don't. No, it's not good. It's not like a. It's not something you want to get into.
My favorite is Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood.
I don't want to be like, please
It's a
take it
huge-
away.
It's a huge hit. It was actually I think it came out, well, in the US. It was like number one for a few weeks, but in my house.
Okay.
I can't handle that
It
song.
was, and it was on my top 10 Spotify songs of 2018, actually.
Whoa.
Because I would just listen to it on loops every day. It's just so uplifting, and it's just like the perfect metaphor. It's about a woman who is like driving her car and like her baby's in the back seat, and she just like loses control over the car. And like she's like,
Finally.
obviously she's like driving in Louisiana or something,
Classic.
and then it's like her car flips over, but like and then like the first verse is like the accident, and then the chorus is like, Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands, because I can do this on my own. I'm letting go, so give me one more chance. And then the second verse, she like looks back and her baby's like sleeping in his seat. And then like at the end, she's like, I haven't been to church for a few days or something. So it's like, honestly, you hear this and you're like, Jesus, take the wheel, like take the wheel, save me from myself. That's the lyrics.
Oh my goodness. I literally thought that the car accident had happened and the baby slept through it because she'd filled it with so much children's Panadol or something. I was like, what baby is sleeping through a car, flipping over? Oh, okay, sorry. This is what I mean. Like, I genuinely wanted to understand the Bible and I just couldn't get it. Like, I am really like, what it says on the page is what I understand it to be. Like, I'm really bad at reading into...
The metaphor.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, I'm just very sort of straight up and down. Anyway, it was no good.
Wow. So I spent most of my years arguing things that are said on the Bible, like if it's gays, if it's women. There's all these things about the people that you should stone in your community, and I think because I was like
Scorpios.
oh my
No, I'm
God.
kidding.
How the Scorpios like having a rock ready in their like pocket in their pants just in case there's going to be a stoning today. So one of the things that there was really some outrageous things, like if a woman is cheating on her husband, the way to check it is like to put her in a bath, and if she
Get me the
like
bath.
yeah, it's like all these things with bats and stones and
Yes.
you know, and it's not like the fun like
And
Rihanna.
oils.
What? And boils, and if you gossip, you're gonna get boils and be outcasted from the
Lepers,
tribe.
yes.
Yeah, leprosy, all these things. And I remember like we also had like rhymes, like songs that rhymed about like why we shouldn't gossip, and like song that rhymed about like why girls shouldn't wear short skirts. And it was like a really, yeah, like the arguments. I remember just arguing on and on and on.
Yes.
And I think that was the point of my life when I was just Aries. I was just Aries sun, full power arguing. We would also get grades on like how well we behave during prayer time and how nice we are to our teachers. It will be like in our grade sheet, there will be the first, before the subjects, it will be like nice to his teachers, behaves through prayer. And I would just get like D's. Like zeros. We had number systems. So I would just get like 10 out of 100.
Nothing could be normal.
Not yet.
Tens across the board.
Oh my God. And like my luck is that my mom was like a really rebellious woman in our community. Like everyone would not, like women would not
Lilith.
wear. My mom.
Oh my God.
My mom is Lilith.
Lilith in your community.
No, she was just like regular old Capricorn, and like she would wear pants. All the women would wear like skirts, like long skirts or dresses, or cover their hair. And my mom would just like had her hair out, like pants. And we would go to like parent teacher meetings, and they would all be like, he doesn't pray, he's rude to us, he's this. And I would be like, I'm not rude to you, I'm just arguing everything you say. And they were like, yeah, but like that's annoying. And my mom was like, that's important. And then one teacher that was like the most evil teacher ever, she told, so my school was also next to a mini zoo, by the way.
Wait, what? My school was next to a presbytery, which is where priests live, and a church. You had a zoo?
We had a mini zoo.
This is a whole aspect of Itai's private life or personal old life, which doesn't sound like it really happened, but apparently you went to feed the animals after school. Every second of your life was spent with the animals, and you loved the animals like they were your own.
I need to explain about the mini zoo like for 1 minute before I continue. So there was a mini zoo. I grew up in a small town.
A small town with just a medium-sized zoo.
It was
a few cheetahs. What?
400 families and a mini zoo. And I was at that zoo every single day almost of my life. Like
so sad and beautiful.
I would go on lunchtime. On lunchtime I would go to the mini zoo with my friends, but also by myself. And during the summer holidays I would literally be there every single day from dawn till like dusk.
What was going on at home?
Sorry. And what?
What was going on at home?
A lot has been redacted from his memory. What? Yeah.
What do you
home?
mean? 4 a.m. at the mini zoo.
I just
holding your ears and shuddering.
I just wanted to be at the zoo. It was nothing to do with my house. I'm joking. I would literally like create my own projects for the zoo. Like I had like a full-time job at that zoo that no one appointed me to. And
was it pairing off the animals?
No, I would be like, I would like made a book about every single animal in the zoo. I was a part of a anima to a horse that like got a food like gastro. Like I literally like brought the water hose so they can
fill its butt.
It's called up the butt.
Yeah.
And I would do everything. I would take every day we would get delivery of like 200 dead baby chickens. And I would feed the pelicans by throwing it.
Don't pelicans eat fish? What's going on?
They eat baby chickens. At least at my mini zoo. Just to get you context, like I'm also vegan today, and all these baby chickens came from the egg industry because it was male baby chickens.
Oh no!
Yeah, I would put live mice into the like snake play like booth and like watch them eat them.
Oh, the circle of life is beautiful.
I just did everything and like clean their shit, everything.
How come you didn't ever become like a vet or someone who?
I wanted to be a vet, but every kid wants to be a vet. But then I wanted to be a psychologist, and I used to.
What did you want to be growing up?
I don't know. I remember being very small and being like, I'm going to be a ballerina, violinist, policewoman, waitress.
Okay.
Libra. I want to do everything.
Yeah, like, and then it depended on the day. I'd be like, I'm gonna be an artist, I'm gonna be an actress, I'm gonna be a marine biologist, I'm gonna be an astronaut.
Marine biologist.
That was a real thing, right? Everyone was.
Tell you what, I met a marine biologist the other day, and it is fucking boring.
Really, I know a marine biologist. She's having a fabulous life, and I love her Instagram.
No, anyway, back to the mini zoo.
Anyway, so we were at class, and the donkey made the donkey noise. Do you
Chamor.
Eeyore, chamor in Hebrew. So the donkey was making a noise, and actually one of the kids in my class was annoying the teacher. So she said, "Your mom is calling you. Your mom is calling you to go home." And she obviously referred to the donkey.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Slut shaming / donkey shaming. What?
Donkey
just shaming.
Everything.
That's a classic, your mum, sick burn from a teacher to a child.
But you can only do that when you live next to a mini zoo. It's
true,
very rare that you have a donkey that makes a noise near the school that you're learning from in a religious school.
So I flipped, obviously, and I was like, "You can't do that.
You can't talk to my animals like that."
And it wasn't even my friend. I just also hated her to begin with.
Okay.
But she was saying all these nasty comments to all of us, and me and my best friend would we were like kids in movies. We would put our legs so she would fall. We would leave stinky things on her desk. Really fuck her up. Tried to, but she fucked us up too. And then she gave me a punishment to copy from not the Bible, but a religious book that it has all the laws of Judaism, of the laws for respecting your teacher. And it's literally 4 pages. So I really small. I copied the whole thing, and then when we got to the final sentence, it says, "All of the above is valid only if the teacher is not evil." And we highlighted it, me and my best friend, and handed it in to her. And then she lost it at us and got our parents involved, and it went up to the minister of education of Israel. His mom was like, I'm writing letters, and she just wrote hundreds of letters. And this woman is now a principal of another school. So
and you are not religious.
And I'm not religious.
So if we need any more proof that God isn't real, and put all your energies into astrology, I think that, case in point, I rest my case.
But what I find is and I wonder if you guys find it too, is that now that I'm a free person,
yes,
relatively, I really find it more safe and interesting to mention the Bible, to reference stories
and explore it. I feel I have now a desire or interest to genuinely read it, cover to cover, in a way that when I had to do it all the time, flipping to this point, that point, today we're looking at this, I had zero interest in really engaging with it as a text. But now I'm all those fun characters, what that was fun. It was a fun time. When Game of Thrones finishes, no spoilers please, maybe I could go back and just indulge in some epic battle scenes or end of days shit.
I agree. And I think also the Bible has so many stories that you could actually learn from, and characters that you could actually learn from.
Like David's story with the woman in the bath. That is
classic.
An incredible tale of how to woo someone and then how to destroy their loved one. Because as we've said in the beginning of this episode, flirting is not cheating, but cheating is certainly flirting. And what better fun?
What about Noah? I'm
so confused.
What about Noah? Build your own ark. Just have one ark.
Just
ready.
have your own mini zoo with you at all times.
Oh my God,
just
mini zoo.
Take to the ocean with a mini zoo. Never look back. You don't need anyone else. You've got your animals. It's just you and your mini zoo.
I loved them. We had 2 horses. Their name was Romeo and Juliet.
Are you joking
and
me?
Then Juliet died, and we were we're gonna Daxotrol. What's the name? When you preserve the animal?
Taxidermy.
Oh,
yes.
Well, we're gonna taxidermy and keep her there. So we put her in the fridge, and 2 weeks later, she literally exploded in the fridge, and we just had to bury the explosion.
Okay, this is what I wonder. Where are the grown-ups in this mini zoo? Because I feel there should have been some sort of vet or some sort of zoologist, ideally, who's there to be you know what? Pelicans don't eat baby chickens.
You know what? Small, shitty town. They don't have dentists. They don't have zoologists. They just have
Then how do they have a
zoo?
zoo?
I don't know. I can't even remember. There were other people there. I was like by myself in the zoo.
And what mini? Like, what do you mean by mini?
It was like like there weren't any elephants or giraffes. Like
so mini animals.
Mini like the big
like a petting zoo.
Yeah, like the like I would say the most exotic animal we had was like monkeys, which are pretty
that's pretty exotic,
pretty hardcore, and we had emus.
Well, that's also very exotic.
And I would say those were like in like the Capricorn. What's the Capricorn animal like the goats?
Oh, the goat.
Like goats. We had, and
donkeys.
one day a camel just walked in to the zoo and he joined and like he just
This is incredible. I feel like this mini zoo has been just as formative and is just as interesting and fascinating as the Bible has been in your life. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like now you can visit the Bible as this fun, strange, interesting memory, and like similarly your mini zoo, it's a fun, strange, interesting memory, although it probably doesn't have your life as suffused with like guilt and shame in the way that, like, at least for me, speaking only for myself, a lifetime of the Christian tradition sort of certainly instilled in me.
Wow, that was so fun to reflect back on the Bible and like
the mini zoo.
Yeah, I feel like
the mini zoo was a real highlight for me.
I really didn't plan for the mini zoo to be on this episode. But
no, it's important.
I think the mini zoo should be. I mean, if you're going to name the episode after anything, forget the Bible. It's a mini zoo.
Wow.
Sorry. Did you ever watch Dr. Dolittle as a kid?
No.
Oh,
is that Eddie Murphy?
Animals. Well, the remake had Eddie Murphy, but it was
God.
the original. I watched the sort of creepy original. The Push Me Pull Me. It's like this weird animal. It's like a camel, but it doesn't have a butt. It's like a double-fronted camel. Anyway,
interesting.
And so it's like Push Me Pull Me because it keeps trying to go in one direction, but the other end's like pulling the other way.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Well,
it'll be in the show notes for those who need to know the GPS coordinates for the mini zoo in case you're traveling in the Holy Land. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yes.
We can put the original Dr. Dolittle. We can put the Eddie Murphy one and links
everything.
to, I guess, the Catholic Church, the Uniting Church, the Jewish faith. Like in case anyone's looking for some.
Go to all the sacred sites. Go to the mini zoo. Yeah.
Nicki, thank you so much for being on another episode of Astrology Rose.
Thank you. I'm so pleased that I got to be here and like mark this special time with you before you go back to the Holy Land and back to the mini zoo.
It's true. I'm going to re-explore everything in Israel when I'm there. Thank you for the listeners. And
except for those who are still adding me and telling me that in fact flirting is cheating. I know who you are, but
And if
I'm kidding. Yeah, I love you all.
We'll see you next week on Astrology Rose.